Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy, back again with an evening update. Obviously, Arsenal transfer news is what we're going to be speaking about right about now. Isco is what we're going to be speaking about right about now. Sorry for that. So we're going to be speaking Isco. We're going to speak Martin Odegaard and James Maddison as well. Lots of things to actually speak about. In this transfer edition, Martin Odegaard is back, and Arsenal are actually looking to bring him in, waiting for him. They are willing to actually wait for him until August. We're gonna discuss that. We're gonna discuss what exactly that means in our transfer plans and our transfer pursuit. We will discuss James Maddison as well. What does the Martin Odegaard deal actually mean for James Maddison? Mean for the James Maddison deal? And maybe we will also discuss Isco at the end of this video, because Isco is another one that has been linked with Arsenal. 15 million. Would Arsenal, or would you go for Isco? 15 million. Would you actually go for such a signing? Do smash like button, people. Do smash like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel. Obviously, turn on the notification bell. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's get the party started. So to begin with, let's get into the Martin Odegaard story. Now, there are reports that Martin Odegaard will be available for a transfer away from the Santiago Bernabeu in this summer. However, that transfer is not going to happen anytime soon. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in the next week. It could happen in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the transfer window. That is in August, after the season has actually started. Now, the reports are actually that Arsenal will be interested in waiting for Martin Odegaard and to see whether Real Madrid will reach a point where they want to sell. That is that is the point, because a couple of reports that are from Real Madrid are actually suggesting that Madrid could actually make a U-turn on their decision, on the decision they had actually made earlier, known to sell Martin Odegaard. So the situation is really tricky, as we will discuss and as we will actually get into it. Odegaard, a couple of weeks ago, almost confirmed he's not coming back to Arsenal. He says, it's been a great time with you guys, and it's been so great for you, guys, the love you've showed me, the team, and so on. But it's time for me to go back to Real Madrid. And also Madrid made it very clear they would love to keep their player. They want to keep the player, at their side. We got that, and we did understand that. In the last couple of days, reports have actually changed, showing that Madrid do have an interest in selling Martin Odegaard. However, that is only for the right offer, which should be astronomical. So we're gonna dive into his price. We're gonna dive into what he would offer, more than James Maddison, and maybe the fact that Mikel Arteta actually loves him. Does it make Mikel Arteta deluded? Because we are in the same situation with the Manuel Locatelli situation, or the Manuel Locatelli transfer, and now we are putting ourselves in the same situation with Martin Odegaard. There is no doubt Madrid would want to sell if the right offer comes in. But the question is, when does this deal happen, and how much time do we have for the deal to happen? Do smash a like on the video, but of course the question in the comment box is so simple. Would you actually wait for Martin Odegaard? That is my big question. Would you wait for Martin Odegaard, or would you rather actually get in another player, even if it's not James Maddison? Look, a couple of reports have been reporting the Arsenal fans and blah blah. They want James Maddison and so on. Even if it's not James Maddison, for me the question is: do we wait for Martin Odegaard, or do we actually move on? For me, that is the big question. Are the rumors that suggesting that we are going to wait for Martin Odegaard true? I think they are true. I think they hold some water somewhere. And I also think he's been our priority right from the start. If we remember, we wanted to sign in Emiliano Buendia, and we've spoken about this on a couple of occasions. We wanted to sign in Emi Buendia, at the beginning of the transfer window. We are battling it out with Aston Villa. The deal was as open as and was so open to an extent that Aston Villa, actually Norwich, wanted to sell the player as soon as possible. They set their price and they were very okay with with the player moving on. They did understand that it's time for Emi to move on. With Aston Villa interested, with Arsenal interested, it's time for Emi to move on. And we lost the deal to Aston Villa. One of the excuses in that in that situation on that time. At that time was Arsenal were actually waiting for the Martin Odegaard situation. We were still waiting for Odegaard to actually decide whether he stays at Real Madrid or actually comes back at Arsenal. We listened in from Fabrizio Romano 2 weeks ago, and he still echoed the same words, the same intentions. The player wants to prove himself at Real Madrid. The same comes from Jan Ejfrojo, who said as well the player wants to stay with Real Madrid. That is his priority. A couple of reports are coming out and they're saying that Martin Odegaard looks uncomfortable, looks disconnected from Real Madrid. Well, look, you could say yes, you could say no about that. He's only played one preseason game, and I really don't think you could judge a player by one game in the preseason whether he is actually focused, committed, or he's actually disconnected from the club. So, for me, all the rumors, all the reports, saying that Martin Odegaard is disconnected from Real Madrid. They don't make sense for me. They absolutely don't make sense for me. So let's try to make sense of it in terms of how easy and how doable the deals are. If you look at the Martin Odegaard deal, apart from Real Madrid wasting a lot of time, if Madrid are really are willing and ready to sell, I think it's a more doable deal. It's an easier deal than the James Maddison deal for a couple of reasons. One, I think in terms of finances, in terms of money, in terms of prices, Odegaard would be a cheaper player because Leicester City are obviously asking for £65 million, to sell James Maddison, and Real Madrid on the other side are actually asking for for 55 or 50 million euros to sell Martin Odegaard. So look, financially, in order not to stretch the budget so hard, the Martin Odegaard deal would be the easier deal to do. It would be the doable deal, and you would actually understand that. But honestly, if we think about it, if we talk about it, how long does it take? How long will it take for us to get over these deals? How long will it take for us to do these deals over the summer? Are we actually gonna do the Martin Odegaard deal tomorrow? I don't think so. Are we gonna do it next week? I don't think so as well. I think it's a deal that will be done in the next 4 weeks. We have 5 weeks to the end of the window, and I think it will take around 4 weeks to for us to actually accomplish the deal. The other thing with the Martin Odegaard deal is how sure are we that Madrid actually are willing to sell? Because at the moment they do not have money to bring in new players, and even if they wanted to bring in new players, who are they going to sign? In there. I mean, they want Kylian Mbappe. That's the only player I've had Madrid linked with. Kylian Mbappe. I've not had any other names, in this window linked with Real Madrid. Of course, you have the likes of Alaba who has come in as a replacement either to Sergio Ramos or to Rafa Varane. I don't know how they're gonna do that. They're losing more and more players. They've lost their captain. They have lost their best player, their best defender, on a free transfer to PSG. That is a big blow. And they have also lost Rafa Varane. So they have lost two. They have lost their centre back pairing. I think they will need some money, to recruit in a good centre back. Probably Koundé. I think it could be Koundé. So if they are dealing with the centre back at the moment, are they gonna risk another department? Are they gonna let Martin Odegaard leave the club in this summer? It might happen because, like I said, they might want to bring in, a new set of players, but it's not going to be that easy. It's not as open as the Leicester City deal, because the Leicester City and James Maddison deal it's as easy as give us the money, which Arsenal do not have. Give us the 65 million pounds, and you'll have the player because we are willing to sell. Madrid are so comfortable, and they're not actually sure. Do we want to sell? Do we want to keep the player? That is where they are, and for me, that is the big problem. That is absolutely the problem with this deal. Martin Odegaard and James Maddison. There's gonna be big dilemma, and my transfer fear is we could actually end up with none of them. That is my problem. That is absolutely my problem, because I've had so many people speaking about Odegaard, with a lot of negativity. I don't buy it. I don't buy the negativity, in Martin Odegaard, and we'll try to dive into Odegaard as a player, and what he provides, with this Arsenal side. But the truth is, the transfer dilemma we've started leads us to a road that, gives us nothing. You could try to wait for Martin Odegaard, and Madrid all of a sudden are like, we want to keep the player. We want to keep the player. Try something else, and time has run out. I think in the last 2 weeks of the window, in the last 14 days of the window, Leicester City will be tempted to keep James Maddison, because they know if we keep Maddison, we are sure of top 5. If we keep James Maddison, and we've brought in Somare, and we've brought in Patson Daka, we can guarantee ourselves a better finish in the league than last season, because we have more quality. The reason as to why they want to sell him is very open. They've been selling one player, so they will need that 65 million pounds to run in the next campaign. But they could keep Maddison because his contract is actually so fresh. They could keep him and sell him next summer. Real Madrid, the ones that we are relying on, is not even sure. They're not even sure they want to sell. Are we deluded? Because for me, that is the question. Are we trying to hold our transfer business in a very deluded way? We've been yesterday, Sunday, we were speaking about Manuel Locatelli, and we were speaking about how Arsenal is naively waiting for Sassuolo and Juve to decide. The question is, when are they going to decide? When is it going to get over the line? What if it gets over the line in the last days? What happens then? We are going to end up with panic buys. I don't want to see Arsenal fail to get Maddison and on Odegaard because of the dilemma that we have put ourselves in, and then go for a panic buy that has never existed. Go for a panic buy that is trash. I don't want to see that happen. I think what we should do at the moment, as Arsenal, and this is my humble opinion, is we need to focus on more realistic targets. Talk about the likes of Sabitzer. I think Sabitzer is a more realistic target. One, he is 27, contract running down, Leipzig are selling, and the player is open to a move. Absolutely easy. Absolutely very easy. And I was listening to Harry Simia today in the evening, and he made a very interesting point. He said, with Martin Odegaard, what you have is you could get a player you want, a player that fits into the ambitions and the structure of what Arsenal want to do, but that could take you some time. It's almost similar to the James Maddison deal. But for me, I would take that. I would take his argument that we could invest in a little bit more time to get, if it means we are getting the player we want, but only if we were sure. I would invest that time. I would wait for Martin Odegaard. If I was sure Real Madrid will sell the player to us, I would wait for Martin Odegaard. If I was sure Real Madrid are interested in 100% interested in selling the player. But the reason as to why I disagree with Arsenal waiting for Martin Odegaard is we are not sure if Madrid are speaking the same language. We are not even sure which language, the semantics they use to encode these messages. We're not even sure. That is the problem. because with communication, it's all about semantics. The moment your semantics are not in the same line, you can't communicate. Madrid are not even anywhere near to thinking about, yes, we are sure. They're not there. They're like, maybe we want to sell. Maybe we want to sell because we want to get in some money and bring in Kylian Mbappe and a couple of other players and probably replace our centre backs that have gone to PSG and Manchester United respectively. Or maybe we want to keep the player. We want to keep the player and build a club and build a new team around him. That is where they are. That is the problem with this deal. Absolutely. With all due respect, Martin Odegaard is a good player. 23 years of age, 24 years of age. He is in that bracket. He's in that shape of players that Arsenal admire. Less than 25 years, or below 25 years, have a lot of potential to develop into stars and probably can increase in value over time. That is what we are looking for. Same like James Maddison. And if you look at the ceilings of both players, James Maddison and Martin Odegaard. I'm sorry to say this if you do not agree, but I think I agree with people who think like this. I think Martin Odegaard has a higher ceiling than James Maddison. If I look at James Maddison, honestly, let's be real. Let's be real. He's English. If you're buying him at 65 million pounds at the moment, where do you sell him? It's an honest question. If you buy him at 65 million pounds, where do you sell him? It's almost that it is almost like his ceiling is Arsenal. The moment it goes from Leicester City to Arsenal, it looks like that's the end. Where are you gonna sell him? Yeah, but with Martin Odegaard, if you bought him at the moment for 45 million pounds or for 55 million pounds, whatever the price is, I think he has more opportunities, he has more chances of one day signing for a Barcelona somewhere, signing for a Real Madrid somewhere, signing for a Bayern somewhere, or a bigger club. In case Arsenal don't pick up the pace to become a big club once again. So let's try to dive into what these players would give us and maybe try to determine how do we solve the conundrum, how do we solve the dilemma. With James Maddison, I've said this over and over again. I don't want to compare the two players, but it's inevitable. They operate in the same area and they play in the same, they do the same thing. You want chances from them, you want assists from them, so we can't compare them. Absolutely. I mean, if we have compared Housham Aouar and Maddison, why can't we compare Martin Odegaard and James Maddison? So with James Maddison, what I think you have is a perfect piece of art for a number 10. You have a player who is just perfect for that position. Absolutely perfect. Scores, he's gonna score you the goals. He's gonna take the risks. He's gonna do a lot of shot creating actions. He's gonna involve himself in a lot of shot creating actions. With Martin Odegaard, I think you have a lot to teach him. He has a lot to learn. One, I think I picked this from Jan Edfrodio. As one of the reasons why many Arsenal fans actually think, look, Cossy, Odegaard not good enough. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's not good enough. I think what you're trying to say, just that you do not use the right semantics, is he doesn't take enough risks. He doesn't score enough goals. He doesn't actually create enough chances. So let's be honest. All the crap, all the bullshit that Martin Odegaard is not fit for the Premier League, he's very weak, he's very slow. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying into that. I think we have a player, we have a young lad with a lot of potential. If he lands into the look, if he was playing with Pep Guardiola, we'd be telling a very different story. Absolutely a very different story, right? Everybody would be like, Cossy, let's get in Martin Odegaard. But because he's not actually getting game time, Real Madrid. He comes in at Arsenal, and for me, I think he impresses. He makes a marquee impact on that Arsenal side, despite the despite the fact that it was a bad squad. It was a bad lineup with poor quality. It was a bad squad. And I do understand Arsenal fans. What they wanted was Martin Odegaard to lift Arsenal, like Kevin De Bruyne lifts Manchester City, or like Eden Hazard lifted Chelsea back in the day. I don't think he does that. I don't think that is what he does. Yes, he's more of a game controller. Give me the ball, I'll give it to you in tight spaces, and then I'll provide you with that support. That is what he does, and he creates a couple of chances. But I don't think he's gonna lift the side. I don't think he's gonna, and I don't think James Maddison will lift Arsenal either if he signed for the club. I don't think Maddison will lift the club on his shoulders as well. I think what Mikel wants to do, what Mikel wants to build into this Arsenal side, is a collective unit that actually depends on each other. The midfield depends directly onto the defense, and the defense depends directly onto the attack. And that's why I think Martin Odegaard is just perfect for us. So the reason that's why I might write off this deal, the reason that's why I might reject this deal, is not in any way connected to how good or how poor the player is. I trust in Martin Odegaard. I think he has a lot of potential to become whatever he wants to become. Honestly, he's as good as that. Same as James Maddison. I think Maddison is also a very good player. But the debate is, for me, the debate is not among the two. The debate is, would we or should we actually wait for Martin Odegaard? Should we take the risk? Is he worth the risk? That's another debate. Is he worth the, just like Manuel Locatelli, are they worth the risk? Are we risking too much? Aren't we risking too much to wait for Odegaard and wait for Manuel Locatelli when we know we are actually having less chances to sign them? Because with Manuel Locatelli, there are very few chances. With Martin Odegaard, it's still closed. Yes, Madrid is losing a couple of players because they need to free up, to free up their wage bill. I think by 150 million, 100 million, or something close to that. It's the same situation with Barcelona, but it doesn't guarantee that Martin Odegaard will leave Real Madrid. And if they decide not to sell him, I won't be mad with them. Honestly, I won't be mad with them. One, I think they need to build a new squad. The Madrid squad is aging. You think about Rafa Varane, and many people, bringing in the debate of Rafa Varane and Ben White. Rafa Varane is 28, 29. So they've lost Rafa Varane, right? But if you look at the likes of Modric, if you look at the likes of Toni Kroos, if you look at the likes of Karim Benzema, the likes of Eden Hazard, that squad needs a lot of refreshment. A lot. And if you're talking about refreshment, one of the players that can give you that at Madrid is Martin Odegaard. Does Carlo Ancelotti trust in the player? I don't know. I really don't know. But at least if they're trying to build something new, and then they, with young players, around young players, if they're trying to develop their, their own talent, like Jan Ejfroger says, that Madrid will need to groom their team and, get a couple of, young players and stitch them together. If they lose Martin Odegaard, if they decide to let go of Martin Odegaard, then it won't make a lot of sense. So I wouldn't actually blame them if they decided to let Martin Odegaard stay. Like I said, if they want to sell him, it will only be for the reason that they want to raise some money in this transfer market. So, that is where the debate is. That is where the risk is. Do we risk it? Do we actually move on? Because there's so many players. If you're talking about Odegaard, you could as well think about Julian Brandt. You could think about Julian Brandt as well. How different are they? I don't think they're so different. I don't think Julian Brandt and Martin Odegaard are very different. I don't think. Both players are not actually having enough game time at their parent clubs. Obviously, the last time we saw Julian Brandt as a regular player was way back at Bayer Leverkusen. At Dortmund, I don't think he's got a lot of playing time. I don't think he's got the respect he deserves in terms of in terms of giving playing time. But again, if you think about it, if you brought in a player like Julian Brandt, because you're looking to develop them, Julian Brandt is more like a Martin Odegaard. Again, I don't see him. And with Julian Brandt, actually, you could have a couple of more goals because he scores a little bit. His scoring rate is a little bit more than that of Martin Odegaard. Obviously, Odegaard has. I think Odegaard has more of the ball controlling abilities and the ball passing abilities more than Julian Brandt. But if you brought in a player like Julian Brandt at this point in time, and because I think Brandt is 24. In the next 2 years, he's 26. I think you groom him well, you manage him well, he gives you what you want. But many Arsenal fans will tell you, Cossy, you don't need to bring in Julian Brandt because Arsenal needs someone to lift them. Arsenal needs someone who's going to work right away. Brandt has actually been dormant at dormant. He's not actually getting enough game time. And that's what we're speaking about. Is Martin Odegaard really worth the risk? That is the big question. Is Martin Odegaard really worth the risk? That is what I'm asking. If he's not getting game time, in at Real Madrid, is he worth the risk at Arsenal? One, you're getting him on a permanent basis with a lot of money. If he fails, it's a loss. And two, you're investing a lot of time where you would do deals in the summer, and you're waiting for Martin Odegaard. So it's a tricky one, really. It's really a tricky one. Please do smash the like button, people. Thanks everybody for watching in. Make sure you do smash that like button. So there is another story about Isco, and with Isco, I'm even flabbergasted. Absolutely, it's like, because look. We wanted Isco in January, and you remember my thoughts on Isco in January. I said I would take him. He's a talented player. I would take him to as a quick fix in January. I would have taken him as a quick fix in January. At the moment, he would actually cost us around 15 million. To get him from Real Madrid on a permanent basis, right? He's another player that is thirsty of game time. Another player that we are not actually predict, because with players like Maddison, with the players like Houssem Aouar, you can even you can actually predict what's going to happen with them. Yeah, you could actually predict what's going to happen with them. With Isco, you can't. These are players that have actually lost what you call game time. They have not actually got game time at Real Madrid for a while now, for some time now. And that's a great, and that's a big fear. A very big fear. What do you do with them? If you brought in Isco, it's not a guarantee that it's gonna click, because he's taken a lot of time without being consistent. Yeah, I mean, you might understand he's a player that would come in, need some love and things like that. But I wouldn't do Isco. If it is long term, it is long term. If it is long term, you don't do a player like Isco then. You don't do a player like Isco. You want first and foremost, the age. You want someone who's around 26, 27. And that's why I would go for Sabitzer, because Sabitzer is around 27, 27 years of age. So you have at least 4 guaranteed years that is going to perform well at the top level. And Sabitzer has been playing regularly. The quality of a player is can only be seen by his durability. How often and how much have you played? How often do you play, and how much do you play? For me, if a player is not getting game time at their parent club, I absolutely don't take them. Honestly, I absolutely don't take them. So, people, do smash like button, people. Let's see what you people are saying in the chat. 3 players linked with the club today. The James Maddison dilemma and Martin Odegaard could actually, cause a transfer stall at Arsenal, with Isco also linked. What are your thoughts on those 3 players? I would love to hear in from you guys as well. so many of your comments. I would love to. I would really, really love to look at to look at each and every comment. Ronald says, I don't see why we should. I don't see why we should sharpen a player who is not ours. We have Smith Rowe, and we are going to pay him better. And we are going to pay him better. We buy Maddison once and for all. Look, with the Maddison deal, with the James Maddison deal, you have a couple of things, and I think we've got to be realistic, in this case. You have a couple of things with the James Maddison deal. One is it's an expensive one, a very, very expensive one. Arsenal would love to do the deal, but that doesn't take away the fact that it's difficult, and it doesn't actually take away the fact that it is, very expensive. That is one of the things you've got to think about, right? Thonko says, Cossy, why Arsenal don't go for the players that want to play for the club rather than going for those that actually don't want to play for the club? Thank you so much, Thoronko, my man. Right? Ratu says, Cossy, for me, Maddison transfer is never a dilemma. If we want the player and if we think he's gonna help the team, then I think he will. He will, because he's full of speed, which we don't have in the which we don't have, which we don't have. Just pay the 60. Look, why I call it a dilemma, why I'm actually saying the James Maddison transfer dilemma is so easy. The reason that's why I'm calling it a dilemma is now with Martin Odegaard in the mix, it becomes a dilemma, because in the past 48 hours, it was only James Maddison. So it was as straight as that. Arsenal go for James Maddison, and that's it. Now it is a dilemma, absolutely, because we are not sure. We are absolutely not sure. If he is the player we are actually going to go for, right? Martin Odegaard is a very skillful and plays really effectively. That's according to Sanjay. Cossy, hi. Can you lead where you share a comparison between Odegaard and Maddison? Look, like I said, it's true. It's easy to compare these two players because they play in the same area. But for me, the focus of this video today is actually not to compare the two. Absolutely not to compare the two. The real thing we are looking at is comparing the risk of bringing in Odegaard vis-a-vis the risk of bringing in James Maddison. What is the risk? Because, like I said, you could end up with none of them. Absolutely, you could actually end up. It could be like the Emi Buendia deal and the Emi Buendia deal and the Odegaard situation. If Odegaard doesn't sign, Buendia signed for Aston Villa for 33 million pounds. We got none of them. Now, if Martin Odegaard doesn't sign again, and James Maddison stays at Leicester City or goes to Chelsea, you get none of them. So I think for me, the reason I'm bringing in Maddison and Odegaard, it's not actually how they play. Both of them are very good players, by the way. Absolutely so good players. Very, very good. But it's not how good they are. It is what is the risk of getting them at the moment. I think that is where the focus of the video is actually all right. My man Jessica says 100% agree, needs to take more risks. Yeah, I mean that is with Martin Odegaard. That is the thing with Martin Odegaard. He's got to take more risks. He's not like James Maddison. And at some point in time, I feel Smith Rowe actually takes more risks than Martin Odegaard. If you've seen, if you've seen it, Smith Rowe takes more risks than Martin Odegaard. But again, he's a very, very good player. To be frank, the Arsenal board are trying. Please give them time to complete possible deals. No, look, no one is saying bring in Maddison or bring in Martin Odegaard this very minute. That's not what we are saying, bro. What we are saying is, are we actually investing our time on the right targets. For example, the Manuel Locatelli deal. If it doesn't happen, you can't. You will never say this when we lose 5-0 to Crystal Palace after missing lots and lots of chances. You'll never say that. You'll never say that, Simon. You will say we should have brought in a player as soon enough. So that's what he was saying. We're saying, right, you want Odegaard. Is it worth the risk? If it is worth the risk, absolutely, we would go for him. If it's not worth the risk, then there's no reason as to whatsoever we should actually go for him. Right, make sure you do call in. Use that link in the comment section. Call in and give me your thoughts. Right, call in and give me your thoughts. Link is in the comment section. Maddison only have more Premier League football, so he would maybe settle than any other player from a different league. I think that is the advantage. That is the advantage with James Maddison. Nothing else. Yeah, that's the advantage with James Maddison. That's it. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. All right. Okay. Joseph says, Cossy, if Arsenal had to choose between Maddison and Odegaard, given the same price, they're not of the same price. They will always go for James Maddison. We need homegrown talent. Simple as that. Look, I don't think they are of. I don't think they are of the same price. I don't think they're of the same price. Absolutely, I don't think. I think Martin Odegaard would cost a little bit cheaper, which is around 50, and then Maddison would cost around 60. So they're not of the same price, really. But I mean, homegrown talent is fine. Talent is fine. There's no problem with that. Fine. I see what is happening here. Most of the people here commenting are England international fans. Right. Colin says we don't have time to wait for anyone. Maddison is okay for us. Odegaard at Sociedad is what makes me want him. This according to Agent Ghost. Maddison, where Cossy's. If you buy Maddison, this will disrupt the future of Emil Smith. Whoa, why would you want to do that? Look, it's absolutely far away from that. It is it's so far away from that. Buying in James Maddison doesn't disrupt the future of Emil Smith. Wow, it doesn't. Unless if the manager completely denies him game time. It doesn't. Actually, it will lead to better development of the player on and off the pitch. With young players, I've spoken about it. You've got to balance the amount of game time you give them. You have to give them enough game time, just enough, right? What is this madness about Odegaard? What's wrong with Arsenal? Can someone tell them to stop the mediocrity? We need Maddison, honestly. I mean, I don't know why many people think Odegaard is a mediocre player, because I don't think he is. I don't think he's a mediocre player. And someone has told me to stop defending Martin Odegaard. I'm not really defending Martin Odegaard. I'm speaking the truth. Statistics, speak for themselves. He's a very good player. And you remember when he came in at this Arsenal side, there's a lot of work he did. Absolutely a lot of work he did. So I'm not really defending him. He's a good player, and that's it. Right. Okay, let's see what you people are saying. Babs says Odegaard on loan again. It's a capital no. If Maddison is not willing to if Madrid is not willing to sell all to get Maddison should be our focus. Look, if it's another loan deal, it's another loan deal. I absolutely agree to anyone who says don't do it. And even if if your reasons are not that Odegaard is not good enough, because I don't believe in that, then we are on the same page. But if your reasons are that Martin Odegaard isn't good enough, then we are actually not on the same page. We're not going to qualify for Champions League if we sign Martin. Look, my man Kancha, I don't agree with that as well. I absolutely don't agree with that as well. I think, you know, when Partey didn't work out last season, we said, oh, Partey, the players around him. Look at the players around him. And with Martin Odegaard, we never said that. Yeah, we treated him very, very harshly. We never said that. We never looked at the players around him. And honestly, many of these men around Martin Odegaard were disappointing. Odegaard is a very, very good player if you have possession. Odegaard is a very good player if the team has possession. But when did we, really have enough time on the ball to see what Martin Odegaard can actually offer? No. Do I think we saw what he could offer? Absolutely, yes. Okay. Didn't pick the language. How many midfielders do we need? Lokonga is already there. Maddison possible. Emil Smith Rowe is a midfielder. Eleni is still there. And now Locatelli or Martin, or a bit too much. That's according to look. There's nothing I can say on this. There's nothing I can say on this, really. Okay, I would go for Maddison. Then otherwise, if we continue the development side, then end up with an experienced squad, a baby squad. How long can one develop? Look, I think with Martin Odegaard, you're not actually developing him to become a starter. He's not the same with Nuno Tavares. With Martin Odegaard, he's already a starter that you're just adding something. You're just polishing the player. With the likes of Nuno Tavares, you're adding so much to them. It's not the same thing with Martin Odegaard. So signing in Martin Odegaard I think doesn't make it, because how old is Odegaard? 23. How old is Maddison? 24. So they're not the age difference is not actually there. Please, Maddison is a good deal, but buying Martin is a risk. Smith Rowe is better than him. That's a debate. That's a really, really big debate. I think, like I said, if you're talking about taking the risks and things like that, yeah, probably I could agree with you in that. But if you're saying generally, Smith Rowe being better than Martin Odegaard, and you've not even seen Martin Odegaard for at least 2 years, I don't actually agree with that. Or even a year, or even a full year. I think we should make 55 million for Odegaard and bring in Awa or Neves or Bissouma. Or look, I think the central midfield situation is a little bit bogus at the moment. A little bit very, very bogus at the moment. Very, very bogus. Henry says, okay, this second center. All right. Cossy, which one would you take between the two? And uses that kind of emoji. I don't know what it actually meant. Look, 55 million for Martin Odegaard. He's not going to have that explosive impact. 65 million for James Maddison. It's going to have the explosive impact. I want Arsenal to do well. I want my club to compete with the likes of United and City. You know who I'm going to go for? I'm going to go for James Maddison. Absolutely. But that doesn't make... And this is where we disagree, people. This is actually where we disagree. If anyone going for the other party doesn't mean the other player is bad. Honestly, that is not what it means. For us, going for James Maddison doesn't mean Odegaard is bad. If we go for Odegaard, it doesn't mean James Maddison is bad. As simple as that. So we cannot really justify the fact that many people are saying, this guy is actually not good enough. Is Chelsea a better team from us? A better team than us? If you look at what Chelsea have done in the past half a decade, you can't ask me such a question. Despite the fact that I'm an Arsenal fan, you really can't ask me such a question. Chelsea have spent, in the last summer, they have brought in almost 8 players with quality. Timo Werner, if only he had clicked to become the player they signed him to become, That would have been absolutely massive. Kai Havertz has won them the Champions League. The likes of N'Golo Kante, the likes of Jorginho, the likes of Ben Chilwell. Is Chelsea a better team than us? They are very, very far away. I think. Look, let's try to compare these two sides, Chelsea and Arsenal. In their 11, right? Let's try to compare them. In goal, Chelsea have Mendy. Arsenal have Leno. I think we should do this together, right? What do you think, Leno or Mendy? I'm going for Mendy. At right back, they have Caesar as Azpilicueta. We have Hector Bellerin, both of them Spanish internationals. One has played in the Euros, the other was not even called. So obviously it is Azpi. It is always Azpi at right back. Kieran Tierney and Ben Chilwell at left back. Obviously, you're going to go. I'm going to go with Kieran Tierney. No question about that. At centre back, they have Zuma, they have Rudiger, and Thiago Silva. So I think Thiago Silva is an automatic starter there. Maybe with Gabriel. But also Rudiger has been playing in that Germany side. So if you're actually thinking about it, you could have Thiago and Rudiger at centre back. In midfield, they have Conte, they have Jorginho, and they have Kovacic. Again, their midfield dominates ours 100%. Because Conte, I would take Conte over Partey, absolutely. I take N'Golo Kante over Partey. I take Jorginho over Xhaka, and I will take Martin. I'll take Kovacic. Over any other midfielder you choose at Arsenal. On their forward line, you're talking about players like Pulisic. You're talking about players like Ziyech. You're talking about players. They're absolutely far better than us in terms of quality. And in the last decade, they have won 2 Champions League titles. So I mean, it's ridiculous to compare ourselves to City, United, and Chelsea and Liverpool at the moment. It's just ridiculous. You can't do that. You really can't do that. Martin Odegaard talent is a great one. We don't need eyeglasses to look at this extraordinary talent. Odegaard is from Norway. I think players from Norway have improved so much. Look at Haaland. I mean, look, it might not be at that level of country, but I think coming from Norway gives him an advantage of a higher price ceiling. Sorry, not price ceiling, by a higher career ceiling than James Maddison. Yeah, that's it. Chidi says, I don't see anything good about Maddison. Good opinion, because that is your opinion. I don't know if you can back it up, but there's so many good things with James, with Martin Odegaard. There are so many good things with Odegaard. You can never finish them. You absolutely can never finish them off. Absolutely, you can never finish them. I mean, look, it's and I'm gonna say this. It is hypocritical from Arsenal fans. It's absolutely hypocritical from Arsenal fans to come and say there is nothing good with Martin Odegaard. Remember in January, we wanted to sign him. We wanted to sign him on a permanent. Still remember. So it's hypocritical for us to come here and say there is nothing good with Martin Odegaard. Absolutely, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. We know it. There's so many good things with Martin Odegaard, and we've got to agree to that. There's so many good things with Martin Odegaard. Absolutely. Right. At least you have a game controller. His passing is good. He creates more chances than any other Arsenal player. There's so many good things. Come on, how can you say that? Francesco says, I mean, I would love Maddison, but it's probably going to be a signing which can happen on the last day. Yeah, it's the same thing with the Martin Odegaard situation, and that's why I was asking people: is it worth the risk? Are they actually worth the risk? Should we be risking our transfer time to wait for these beautiful lads? Should we be waiting for them? Should we wait for them? right? Should we risk until deadline day? Because if we're gonna do a Sabata deal, it would be over. It would be done by this time. Marshall Sabata to Arsenal, confirmed. Here we go. If we're gonna do that, but the moment we have decided not to go for that, then it means we have decided to actually take a risk, right? Right then, lads. Susan says, don't underrate Odegaard. He is a good player. He is something special in his he has something special in his football. He was not the problem last summer. The problem was on attacking. Look, I think Arsenal fans are just too forgetful. We are either forgetful or we are ungrateful. That's one of the things. Any of that. We are either too forgetful or actually ungrateful. But Odegaard, I don't think. Look, I think we are the only fan base that are undermining Odegaard. We are the only fan base in the world, and of course, we are a very, very special fan base. We are very, very special fan base. But we are the only fan base that undermines Martin Odegaard. Otherwise, we shouldn't be doing that. Absolutely, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be undermining Martin Odegaard. Absolutely not. No, never. Jimmy says, really struggling for money, so we should give them an offer for Martin. Yeah, they're struggling. They are struggling, but they are at crossroads. Yeah, they're at crossroads. They know if they sell their best players and they don't actually, because last season did they win the league? No. By Madrid standards, they should be competing for the league this season to win it. Not competing in the league, but to win it. That should be their ambition. Are they gonna win it without signings? It's a big question, though. Really, it's really, really a big question. But they're struggling with they're struggling financially. They're really, really struggling financially. What's your opinion on the keeper situation? Which keepers would you want at the club? Thank you so much, Francesco. Thank you so much, Francesco. Thank you so much. Good question. Brilliant question. My situation with the goalkeeping, situation at Arsenal, my opinion, actually, rather, is again, it's a problem that we have created ourselves. It's a problem that we have brought onto ourselves. Last summer, we had two of the best goalkeepers in the league. You had Leno, decent. You had Martinez as backup, absolutely decent. Right. So Martinez obviously wanted to go. Martinez not to go, but wanted to be first choice, and it's good enough. It's good enough to be first choice. Well, look, we decided Leno will be first choice. Martinez goes to Aston Villa. Right. That was a mistake. We brought in Runason. That was disgusting. And now we want to bring in we want to bring Aaron Ramsdale as a backup goalkeeper who could actually replace Leno for £32 million. Look, I don't get it. I really don't get it with Arsenal. I absolutely don't click with Arsenal. I don't resonate with them in the same way. I think what should happen with this football club, what we should do at the club for now is, if you have Leno and he might not actually stay at the club, probably leave next summer, fine. That is really, 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 really fine, right? Getting Andre Onana, try to persuade Andre Onana, stay with him for this season, and then make him first choice, because he is worth, he is worth being first choice at goalkeeper. Leno, look, anyone is gonna say trash around Leno, and I don't care. That is my opinion. I don't care. I think Leno is a decent goalkeeper. He is my goalkeeper, and that's it. That's it. I've never thought he is disgusting as a goalkeeper. Yes, he had a couple of them. He's had a couple of mistakes in his career, especially last season. But I wouldn't actually mind that much. Why? What's your opinion? We've spoken about that, all right? Okay. I believe Ben White and Rob Holding blend each other very well in defense, better than Murray and Gabriel. Perfect example: Maguire and Stones in European Cup. Holding is not good enough. We've got to agree to that. Yes, you might be a very big, fan of Rob Holding, and look, all of us do have fans where we are, who are, we are, fans of big of players. We're big fans of players. I think I love Gabriel Martinelli more than Saka. That's it. That is me. I love Martinelli more than Saka. I love Martinelli more than Emu Smith Rowe. It doesn't change. Yes, Smith Rowe has done a lot for Arsenal and many things, but I love Martinelli more than Smith Rowe. I love Martinelli more than Saka. Does that mean Martinelli did a better job last season than Saka or Smith Rowe? Absolutely not. So does Ben White really blend together with Rob Holding? Ben White is not even good in the air. Rob Holding is trash in the air. That's the first thing you've got to think about. Rob is not the worst centre back, but for me, I think he's a very, very good squad player. Yeah, very, very good squad player. Hit the like button, people. Thanks everybody for always tuning in. It really, really means a lot. And of course, a couple of streams still coming your way. So don't even think about changing your attention to another channel. Maddison is better option than Martin because Martin is slow on pressing. Although he's a class player, but I would opt for Maddison. Martin Odegaard is slow. Is Pogba that fast? Is Pogba very fast? But he's very intelligent, isn't he? Right. So I think that's all with I think that's all with your comments, people, right? Yeah. All right. Take this one as the last one from Francesca. And it says, I think Martinelli should be given a chance. I don't understand why Arteta doesn't pick him. It makes no sense. He's amazing. He's a very good player, and I think we will see more of him. We'll actually see more of him in the coming season. We'll actually see more of Gabriel Martinelli in the coming season. Guys, you've been a very, very great audience, and I would love to speak to you again very, very soon. Thank you so much for smashing that button. Thank you so much for subscribing. For now, I'll say goodbye, and we meet on the other side.